Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video. Um, to just do my thoughts, I guess. This is a special, I guess, conference championship recap. Um, and yeah, it really didn't turn out the way I thought it would go. Um, well, at least for one of the games. The Redskins slash Commanders versus the Eagles um, game kind of went the way I thought it would go. I was right about Saquon Barkley getting at least one or two touchdowns, over 100 yards. He ended up going over for 200 and got three. Um, but that Bills and Chiefs game, man, I really thought that was the Bills' time. And, you know, it comes down to certain plays here and there. Um, I think again, I know that because I've heard it. I've seen people still to this day do the whole rigging thing. The game's rigged or whatever. Um, um, and now we got the whole the logo conspiracy. Now it says now, oh look, the Chiefs are red, the Eagles are green, the logo was green, the logo was red, and we're gonna hear that bullshit for another year, which I'm so sick and tired of hearing that. Last year it was the logo was purple and red, and because of that, it was supposed to be the Ravens or something like that, but because Taylor Swift started dating Kelsey, then all of a sudden the script got changed, quote unquote. No. They don't when they make those logos, they people don't understand that a lot of those logos are made a lot before they're even revealed. Okay, those logos are designed before they're even revealed to the public. I've heard the drawing conspiracy, like the Christmas what was it, the Christmas photo or whatever, the cartoon Christmas photo that the NFL puts out every year. People have used that, and I just don't buy that. I just don't buy that 53 players on a team would be in on a goddamn script. 53 people that are getting injured. It's not like WWE. Um, 53 people. 53 people. Okay, 53 people. Okay, on a team. Multiple coaches being in on a damn script. It's not. It's not a thing, guys. The Bills lost the game. It was a very winnable game for the Bills. There was a couple of calls where the referees, and that's why I use the point of where the game does get, screwy. And that is with the referees. I don't believe the games are scripted. I don't believe this game was fucking scripted for the Bills to lose. The Bills lost the game because they made some mistakes. But I will say this, the referees did help the Chiefs win the game. Whether it was intentional or not, it doesn't matter. First questionable call was obviously the joint possession play, because it did look like it hit the ground. Now, some people are going to argue that, it didn't bobble at all when the tip of the ball did hit the ground. The problem with that is it was joint possession, and I just don't know if that was a good call to make that a catch when it's hitting the ground, and you really can't say definitively the Chiefs had possession at that moment of the ball, since it was a joint, catch or whatever. I just don't think, like, it's a hard to see that on real time, I guess, but First questionable call by the officials right there. And then obviously the fourth down play on the tush push. The rule is the line to gain, it's a first down. Even if you're pushed back, unless you reestablish yourself, and you stand up, then you're supposed to get the first down. Josh Allen was clearly across, and the original ref from that angle said it was a first down, and then another ref came in and overruled him. I think that should have been a first down. I don't understand how you don't call that a first down on that instant. And this is where I think the referees ruined the game. Because these referees in critical moments will make dumb ass fucking no calls or calls. And that's where I guess the game is quote unquote rigged. Okay, if you want to call it that. Because I don't strongly believe in the players and the script and the WWE conspiracy bullshit that goes into the NFL. I don't believe that. I don't care what anyone says. I don't give a fuck. Because I see this all the time on fucking social media now with the logo theory, the Christmas photo theory, the Taylor Swift theory. Like, I've seen all these crazy fucking conspiracy theories, and I'm just getting sick and tired of them now every year. The logos are made before they're revealed. Like, they already have the logos like being made right now before it's even like set in stone. So the idea that people are thinking that, because that color scheme is on the logo, that means that those are going to be the teams that are playing in the Super Bowl. I don't buy that. I really don't. And again, red can also mean the Buffalo Bills too, because yes, the Buffalo Bills' primary color is blue, but obviously their secondary color is red. So, I think people really overlook this shit when they're looking at this, they're really coming up with these ideas. And again, it's just not there, man. In terms of the game itself, when they didn't get that first down, I had a feeling the Chiefs were going to win because now you give the ball back to him on a short field, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be Patrick Mahomes, which he was. And that's what happened. Buffalo made some errors at the end. Almost made a huge catch on that fourth down, which that was a crazy play in itself. But when you're chasing in 6 minutes left, you're probably not going to win the game. And even when Buffalo did get in, tied it up 29-all, I was like, yeah, but now you got Patrick Mahomes getting it back. And that's what happened. Now, again, why do I believe, like I said, I don't believe in all this garbage, scripting, bullshit, rigging crap. But I do sort of believe in the referee theory. That one is something that I think a lot of people have a strong case about. If you believe in the referee theory, that the referees will intentionally not call something or call something that is obviously not a penalty. If you believe in that theory, then I could say that yes, I could agree with that theory. Because the referees are terrible, especially now. They're terrible more than they were like 20 years ago when I was like a freaking teenager. Okay? And I'm 33 now. And why do I say that? Because the first time where I started to believe in the referees screwing games up to decide the outcomes of a game, the referees cannot necessarily control a game, but they can kind of help a team, possibly win a game. And the first time I noticed this was back in 2005. Yeah, we have to go all the way back in 2005. I was Not even in high school yet in 2005, by the way. I was still in middle school. But this is the first time I noticed it. In 2005, when the Pittsburgh Steelers took on the Indianapolis Colts in the divisional round playoffs. Okay, this is the year the Steelers went on to win the Super Bowl. Okay. Technically early 2006, since it was 2005-2006 season. Okay, so with 5 minutes left, Troy Polamalu got an interception. But then the referees, or the Colts challenged the play. I believe it was the Colts who challenged it, because they couldn't booth review that stuff back then for turnover plays. So the Colts challenged it. Tony Dungy challenged it. And they overturned it. They overturned it and said it was an incomplete pass because Polamalu dropped it or whatever. He lost possession of it, but he already had secured possession of it. But he dropped it, and then he re-recovered his own fumble. Okay? They overturned that and said it was incomplete. Now, after the game, the officiating and the league had claimed, and this is factual too, because they even say this on NFL Game of the Week, because they used to do Steve Stable at NFL Films used to do NFL Game of the Week, and Steve Stable narrating that Game of the Week literally said that the NFL had admitted after the game that Troy Polamalu's interception should have stand. Like they said in New York, they told the head referee to go with the call on the field of it being an interception. But he instead came out and said he overturned it to an incompletion. That right there is when I started to believe in the referee theory, that the referees would intentionally try to help another team win. I believe they wanted the Colts to win that game because the Colts were the number 1 seed that year, and they wanted Peyton Manning to get over the hump. Peyton ended up losing because Ben Roethlisberger made a tackle, and then Vanderjagt obviously missed the field goal to prevent overtime. Then, of course, the Steelers a couple weeks later went to the Super Bowl and went on to win it. Of course, obviously, the Super Bowl in itself was controversial because then the referees in that game decided to make a lot of calls to benefit the Steelers to winning the Super Bowl, which kind of flipped everything, I guess. I guess the referees, decided, since the Steelers overcame the Colts, that they decided to help the Steelers, win the Super Bowl instead, with some terrible penalty calls that happened. A lot of people forget about the Colt game because the Steelers did went on to win the Super Bowl, and then obviously those referees decided to help the Steelers with some penalties. I still think the Steelers would have won that game, by the way, but they did get a lot of assists by the refs with some ticky-tacky penalties at the time. But then you go back to then 2019, and this is where I really started believing the theory, the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Saints. Everybody knows that was a bullshit crapshoot. Clearly helmet to helmet, clearly pass interference by the Rams defender, and he got fined for it, but obviously it didn't matter because the Rams ended up winning the game in overtime. But if they call that penalty, one of them, if they call one of those two penalties, because it was two penalties, helmet to helmet and on a defenseless receiver and pass interference, if they call one of those penalties, it's an automatic first down. They can run out the clock, have an easy pass for a touchdown if they want to get it. And then the Rams had no timeout, so they would have ran out the clock. And would have won the game. There would have been no overtime. That's where I really started to believe it for real, that the referee theory was real at that point. I believe if the Saints had gotten to that Super Bowl that year against Tom Brady, I think the Saints would have won that Super Bowl. The Saints had a really good high-powered team that time. The Patriots didn't really do good against the Rams in that Super Bowl, so despite having 13 points the whole game. So I have to believe that if that had gone the right way. But again, that's where the referees come into handy, because the referees can change an outcome of a game if the game is close. If the game is close, if they can not call a penalty or call a penalty. We've seen it in the 2020 in my game, the Packers versus the Buccaneers. They weren't calling pass interference the entire game, and then all of a sudden they call it on the Packers, but they refuse to call it against the Buccaneers throughout the entire game, which would have changed the outcome of the game. So that's where I just get really pissed off at the referees, because the referees can decide a game if a game is really close. If it's a blowout, it doesn't matter. But if it's close, they can decide the game. That is where I believe the rig comes in, if there is any rig in the NFL game. I don't believe there's any of this bullshit, logo conspiracies, the fucking, because that's what everyone's gonna fucking say now. They're gonna say that for another fucking year now too. We're never gonna hear the end of it now, because that's another reason why I wanted the Bills to fucking win, just to shut everyone up about this fucking goddamn logo theory that everyone wants to fucking say. This because they have the color schemes be that way. At this point, I wish they would just go back to the way they had the Super Bowls a while back when it came to the logos. I wish they would go back to where they just had the Lombardi Trophy in silver or whatever, because they did that for like 7 years or something like that, where they would just have the Lombardi Trophy and they would just have the text and they would just have the Roman numerals in like silver or whatever. I wish they would just go back to doing that now, because I'm just so sick of hearing the logo theory. That the idea that if the logos are a certain color, that team is going to be the team that's in the Super Bowl. Because again, the Ravens, and again, the script conspirators believe now that the Ravens were supposed to get in until Taylor Swift started dating Kelsey. And so then they changed it, but they couldn't change the logo by that point. Which I just think is just so stupid. And the whole idea of, well, they're doing this just because of Taylor Swift. The whole idea of that theory, of course they're going to pan to Taylor Swift when the team wins because it's Taylor Swift. But that doesn't mean that they're going to freaking do it just because of that. They get ratings no matter what. All right, newsflash, the Super Bowl is going to get ratings with or without her. They're going to get ratings when the people do the halftime show, when they get the singers to do the halftime show, they get big people to do the halftime show. That is always going to happen no matter what. They don't need Taylor Swift, all right, to get ratings. The Super Bowl breaks rating records every year, no matter who's there. Okay, so the idea that the NFL needs Taylor Swift to help them get more ratings is kind of dumb, because they're already gonna break rating records. They break it every year, with or without her there. So that's just the one thing I'm just getting sick and tired of. Social media has completely taken over this. But like I said, I do believe in the referee theory. Don't get it twisted. I believe the referee theory is real. It doesn't happen always, because the referees can't control every game, especially if the game's a blowout. If the game's a blowout, they can't really, it doesn't matter what penalties they'll call at that point if the game is up by like 30 points. But if the game is close, they can do things, manipulate things to screw everybody. And I think that was the play right there on that fourth down play. Because if they get the first down there, there's no doubt in my mind Josh Allen is going down the field and scoring a touchdown. Maybe only a field goal, but I believe he gets the touchdown there. And if they get a touchdown, I mean, they go for the extra point. They're at 29, and now the Chiefs are chasing it. They're chasing the score now, not the Bills. You know what I'm saying? Now the Chiefs are chasing. Now they got to tie it up. And then now Josh Allen then on the next possession, he's going for the win. You know, he's going for the win now. So it changed the complexion of the game. It changed the whole dynamic of the game for the last 7 minutes of the ball game. So that's where my stance is on this. I'm not looking forward to having another Chiefs Eagles rematch. This does debunk. I haven't talked to Kyle, the reigning 48, yet, because I know he's upset right now. But when I talk to him, we'll figure out what we're gonna do. Because obviously we're gonna do our Super Bowl prediction, Beast prediction. But him being a Bills fan and all, I've been in those devastating devastating losses. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm a diehard Green Bay Packers fan. I've gone through my range of losses when it comes to the NFC Championship games, as you all know, from Aaron Rodgers games in the championship games, which obviously our most recent one, that Tampa Bay fucking game. But I know where he's going through because I've gone through it with the Packers multiple times, from Brett Favre to Aaron. I really hope, See, I kind of mixed emotions now because I don't really like the Eagles right now because they just beat my Packers in the wild card game. But then you also got the Chiefs that have a chance to three-peat, which the Packers are the only team that has three-peated. They had 65 through 67. Super Bowl didn't exist in 65, so it was only a world champion. The Super Bowl happened the year later, so they had 2 Super Bowls plus an NFL championship game in 65. So that was the only three-peat in NFL history. There was also one in the 30s by the Packers as well, but they didn't even do a championship game back then. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to this because I really am not a fan of either team right now. This also debunks the whole quarterback Super Bowl losing theory because I guess since Jim Kelly lost 4 straight Super Bowls, that the quarterback that has lost in a Super Bowl, his first Super Bowl, they've never gotten back. Not talking about a guy who's won a Super Bowl. A person who's won a Super Bowl has been able to win more Super Bowls. But any quarterback since Jim Kelly lost 4 straight Super Bowls, in their first Super Bowl appearance, any quarterback since Jim Kelly that has made their first Super Bowl appearance as a quarterback has lost a Super Bowl. That Super Bowl has never gone back to the Super Bowl, which is an interesting stat in itself because that was brought up to me. But here's the thing, and this is where I really don't like this because I think people are padding this more than it's actually worth. Because, for example, there are multiple quarterbacks that have gotten to the Super Bowl, won it, and never went back. Trent Dilfer never went back, obviously. He was a journeyman. Aaron Rodgers never went back to the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco never went back to the Super Bowl after winning it the first time. So I think that is such a straw man, argument. And I also brought this up because Kyle brought this up to me. I also told this to Kyle. John Elway, made it to 3 Super Bowls in the 80s and lost. But then, obviously, he won 2 Super Bowls, unfortunately, to my team, the Packers, at the end of his career. And they told me that doesn't count because it was after Jim Kelly. That's why I don't like that statistic. Because it's like you're just basically saying that, John Elway's 3 Super Bowl losses don't count because we're talking about after Jim Kelly lost 4 straight Super Bowls as a quarterback. That, whoever loses their first Super Bowl after Jim Kelly that gets there doesn't get back, basically, as a starting quarterback. Well, Hurts just got back, so that kind of debunks that theory. Now the question is, will Hurts win and end this theory once and for all? Again, I think it's a straw man argument because John Elway went to 3 Super Bowls before Jim Kelly went to 4 straight, and lost all 3 of those. Again, I think people are just making up a stat just for the sake of making up a stat. But, apparently it's Saquon Barkley's birthday on Super Bowl Sunday. So, might win. I think, I look at this, I mean, man, as much as I don't want the Eagles to win, I just really don't want Patrick to freaking three-peat. Because everyone's going to be like, oh, now he's the greatest. And I'm like, well, because that's the only thing Tom Brady hasn't done. Even though Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes, by the way. That's the thing. That's why I also say that Tom Brady should, even if Patrick gets more rings than him by the time his career's over, I don't know how you can say that he's better than Tom if Tom already beat him for a championship. But also I will say, if Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time because he got 3 straight consecutive Super Bowls, then that means Bart Starr's the greatest of all time because Bart Starr three-peated as well. Even though the Super Bowl didn't exist in 65, that was still considered the world champion at the time, the NFL championship. So that was the Super Bowl essentially back then. So I look at it this way, is that if you're going to use that logic, then Bart Starr should be considered the greatest because he won 3 consecutive championships. But yeah, that's my thought. I mean, this is kind of just a thought and kind of a rant on this. I don't know. I'm kind of upset, but then again, I'm always upset every year when it comes to these damn Super Bowl matchups that don't involve my Packers, by the way. So, nonetheless, that's all I got to say. Comment, rate, let me know what you guys think about this. And I'm out of here. I'm the SS Ultimate Goku and Otter. Peace.